On October 7, 2014, GoPro hit an all-time high, $98.47 per share, valued over $10 billion, dominating 95% of the action camera market. 10 years later, the company was a shadow of itself. By 2024, stock fell to $1.39, market cap shrank to $171 million, and 26% of staff were laid off. Chinese rivals like DJI and Insta360 took nearly 90% of key markets. This is the story of how GoPro's empire collapsed through bad strategy, fierce competition, and a misunderstanding of its own business. To understand the collapse, you need to understand the origins. The foundation of GoPro wasn't laid in a corporate boardroom. It was built on the beaches of Australia and Indonesia by a 27-year-old surfer who was running away from a humiliating failure. In the late 1990s, during the height of the dot-com bubble, Nick Woodman founded a gaming and marketing platform called Funbug. He raised $3.9 million in venture capital. By April 2001, the bubble popped, Funbug crashed, and Woodman lost every cent of his investors' money. Burned out, broke, and embarrassed as his peers moved ahead with their careers, he was forced to move back in with his parents. Looking for an escape, he grabbed a surfboard and booked a trip to Indonesia and Australia to clear his head. While out on the water, Woodman noticed a persistent problem. Surfers desperately wanted to capture photos of themselves riding waves, but there was no affordable, easy way to do it. The cameras of 2002 weren't built for action. Professional waterproof rigs cost a fortune, and most amateur photos were taken by friends standing safely on the shore, resulting in distant, underwhelming shots. Yet Woodman wanted a camera that could get inside the barrel of the wave with him. Necessity became the mother of invention. He bought a cheap 35mm plastic waterproof camera, rigged it to his wrist using a broken surf leash and some rubber bands, and started shooting. When he returned to California, he decided to turn this hacked-together prototype into a real business. Woodman had no hardware experience, no office, and no funding. He locked himself in his parents' house to work on the design. To fund production, he bought shell belts in Indonesia for less than $2 each, and drove his beat-up VW camper van up and down the California coast, selling the belts out of the trunk to surf shops. He maxed out his credit cards. He cold-called manufacturers. Investors, remembering the $3.9 million Funbug disaster, ignored him. People laughed, but Woodman wouldn't stop. In 2004, he launched the first GoPro 35mm Hero camera. In 2006, GoPro made the critical pivot to digital, releasing the Digital Hero, which was capable of recording 10-second VGA video clips. By 2007, they improved the resolution, and revenue exploded by 325% to $3.4 million. By 2009, they introduced high-definition video with the HD Hero. By 2010, revenue hit $64 million. Between 2012 and 2013, GoPro nearly doubled its net sales from $526 million to nearly $1 billion. But GoPro's true hypergrowth wasn't just about megapixels, it was about a perfect collision of timing and technology. Right as GoPro was perfecting its digital action cameras, YouTube was rising to global dominance, and social media platforms like Facebook were becoming the default way people shared their lives. Suddenly, everyone wanted to show off their extreme sports, their vacations, and their stunts. You couldn't take a bulky digital camera on a surfboard, and early cell phones certainly weren't rugged or waterproof. The GoPro became the undisputed, indispensable tool for the emerging influencer economy. This created one of the most brilliant and efficient marketing flywheels in corporate history. GoPro didn't rely on expensive traditional advertising. Instead, they built a lifestyle brand completely fueled by user-generated content. Customers would buy a GoPro, film themselves jumping out of planes or bombing down mountains, and upload the incredible footage to YouTube, effectively serving as free, highly engaging commercials. New customers would see these thrilling videos, buy a camera to emulate the lifestyle, and create even more content. Now, GoPro wasn't just a hardware company anymore. They were a cultural phenomenon viewed by the public and investors as a perfect hybrid of Apple's sleek hardware and Red Bull's extreme lifestyle branding. However, the seeds of their downfall were already taking root. The climax of this monumental rise arrived on June 26, 2014, when GoPro went public on the NASDAQ. The IPO was priced at $24 a share, but investor mania pushed it into the stratosphere. By October 2014, the stock hit an all-time high of $98.47. GoPro's market capitalization soared past $10 billion, briefly touching $11 billion at its peak. The company had ballooned from a scrappy team of 50 to a massive corporate workforce of over 1,500 employees. Nick Woodman orchestrated a phenomenal payday for himself, sort of becoming the highest-paid CEO in America that year with a compensation package worth over $284 million. He began living the lifestyle of a modern titan, purchasing a 180-foot super yacht and a private jet. But behind the soaring stock price and the extravagant lifestyle, the foundation was beginning to rot. Following the IPO, GoPro convinced themselves that they were not merely a camera manufacturer, but a global media company. With their massive valuation, they felt immense pressure to serve shareholders and deliver infinite growth. Selling a durable camera to a consumer every 3 or 4 years wasn't enough to sustain a $10 billion valuation. They looked at companies like Red Bull, which had successfully transitioned from a beverage to a global lifestyle brand, and decided to copy the playbook. GoPro poured millions into original content, entertainment divisions, and marketing. Operating expenses ballooned. They bought incredibly expensive Super Bowl advertisements. They hired television executives. The theory was that GoPro's millions of users would generate endless hours of thrilling content, which the company could monetize through a proprietary media platform. But this strategy ignored a fundamental reality about their own customer base. While the brand was built on the backs of skydivers and big wave surfers, the massive sales volume came from ordinary people, and ordinary people quickly discovered that their lives were not actually that extreme. Furthermore, editing hours of shaky silent footage was a tedious nightmare. At the exact same time, smartphone cameras were getting dramatically better. In the early days, if you wanted a wide-angle video of your hike, you needed a GoPro. By 2015, the iPhone in your pocket could do it just as well, with the massive added benefit of instant editing and immediate uploading to social media. Smartphones became a lethal replacement competitor for everyday use. GoPro was caught in the middle. As smartphone cameras ate away at the casual market, GoPro looked to the skies for their next massive growth engine. The consumer drone market was taking off, and GoPro cameras were already the payload of choice for early drone enthusiasts. It seemed like a natural evolution. Instead of partnering with existing drone manufacturers, GoPro decided to build their own. In late 2016, they launched the GoPro Karma. Priced at $799, it featured a sleek foldable design, but it lacked the intelligent obstacle avoidance and battery life that DJI was already perfecting. But a lack of features wasn't the Karma's real problem. Mere weeks after launch, a catastrophic engineering flaw revealed itself. Users worldwide reported that their Karma drones were suddenly losing complete power mid-flight and dropping out of the sky like rocks. The internet was quickly flooded with videos of GoPro drones crashing dangerously into the ground. GoPro was forced into a highly public, deeply embarrassing recall of all 2,500 units they had produced. It completely shattered consumer trust. Although they fixed the battery latch issue and relaunched it in 2017, the damage was permanent. DJI's Mavic Pro easily crushed the Karma in sales and performance. In 2016 alone, the year of the Karma's disastrous launch and recall, GoPro posted a total net loss of $373 million. GoPro entirely abandoned the aerial market in early 2018. While GoPro was thrashing internally, the external market had fundamentally shifted against them. First came the smartphone. By 2016, flagship phones from Apple and Samsung had become incredibly sophisticated. They integrated 4K video, advanced electronic image stabilization, and water resistance. Suddenly, the casual user, the person who just wanted to film their family vacation or a trip to the beach, didn't need a dedicated action camera anymore. Their phone was perfectly fine. This instantly evaporated a massive chunk of GoPro's addressable market, forcing them back into the much smaller, niche extreme sports category. But even in that extreme niche, GoPro was outflanked. Chinese tech giants like DJI and Insta360 began aggressively attacking the action camera space. These companies operated with massive structural advantages. They had deep expertise in gimbal stabilization, AI software, and close proximity to Asian manufacturing hubs, allowing them to iterate and innovate at a speed GoPro simply couldn't match. While GoPro was pushing out incremental minor enhancements to their hero line, DJI and Insta360 were completely redefining the category. Insta360 partnered with Leica to integrate massive 1/1.3-inch sensors and 8K capabilities, dominating low-light performance. DJI focused heavily on robust battery life and subject tracking software. By 2025, an analysis in Japan revealed a devastating reality. DJI and Insta360 had captured nearly 90% of the action camera market share, leaving the once dominant American pioneer GoPro with a meager 9.6%. GoPro was completely encircled. The financial reckoning was brutal. The company that once commanded a valuation of over $10 billion and a stock price of $98.47 saw its shares completely collapse. By 2024 and 2025, GoPro had plunged into penny stock territory, trading at well under $2 a share. The overall market cap had cratered to approximately $171 million by year-end 2024. They were bleeding cash at an alarming rate, posting a GAAP net loss of $432 million in 2024 alone. The company underwent wave after wave of desperate restructuring. From 2016 through late 2024, GoPro initiated brutal, consecutive rounds of layoffs, culminating in a severe cut of 26% of its remaining workforce to desperately lower operating expenses. To survive today, GoPro has been forced to completely alter its business model. Realizing that hardware sales alone can no longer sustain them, they executed a hard pivot toward a direct-to-consumer (DTC) and subscription-based architecture. They began heavily pushing a SaaS model, charging users an annual fee for unlimited cloud backup, automatic video highlight generation, and camera replacement guarantees. This pivot is arguably their final lifeline. By early 2025, they had managed to convert a highly loyal segment of their user base, boasting 2.47 million active subscribers, generating high-margin recurring revenue. They are now looking toward licensing their massive library of 13 million hours of video content for AI training data as a new way to stay afloat. But the stark reality remains. GoPro is now a shadow of its former self. What exactly went wrong? It came down to three fatal mistakes. First, GoPro misunderstood its own product. They confused a great utilitarian tool with a lifestyle media empire. People didn't buy GoPros because they wanted to watch GoPro TV. They bought them to record their ski trips. When the company poured millions into content rather than fixing the tedious editing software that frustrated their actual users, they alienated their base. Second, they lost focus. The pivot to drones with the Karma was a catastrophic distraction. Well, instead of perfecting the action camera and staying ahead of new technologies like 360-degree video, they tried to fight a war on a new front against a superior opponent in DJI. When you are the king of a niche, you defend the niche. GoPro abandoned the walls of their own castle to fight in an open field, and they got slaughtered. Third, they ignored the bottom and the top of the market. They dismissed the rapidly improving cameras on smartphones, which cannibalized their casual users. At the same time, they underestimated the speed and innovation of competitors like DJI and Insta360, who relentlessly iterated and eventually surpassed GoPro's hardware capabilities. Nick Woodman built something amazing. He took a broken surf leash, a plastic camera, and a brilliant idea, and willed a billion-dollar industry into existence. But creating a market and keeping it are two very different disciplines. You can have the most recognizable brand name in the world. You can have millions of passionate fans. But if you stop innovating, stretch yourself too thin, and forget what made your product necessary in the first place, the market will replace you.